now where we got to. They already heard all this stuff.
Sorry, guys.
So he says here, on page 584, we're told the mandate is a complicated document, but we were not its authors. The mandate was given by the League of Nations. But look, the blame doesn't lie with the mandate now being made the scapegoat. It lies with those who should have carried out the mandate with strength and dignity and not half-heartedness, doubt, and weakness. These are powerful words. And he mentions Faisal, you see, Emir Faisal. We could speak to. We could have settled things way back then with him. Now we have to deal with the Mufti, so I've explained to you who all these people are. Right? It's on page 584. With Faisal, and I told, we did this last time, he understood our aims and we could have had an accommodation. But not with the Mufti. It's like Yasser Arafat. Not one Jew is to enter the gates of Palestine. For him, there's only one Jewish gate. It's marked exit, not entrance. This is what's going on today. This is no different. This is 1937, and this is 70 years ago. Nothing has changed. Only the numbers have increased, and the lethalness of the weaponry has multiplied a millionfold. But nothing has changed. So, you know, what is the psychological limit which would satisfy the enemies of the, he only calls it a national hunt. So, he is upset. This is a breach of the promise made to us in a solemn hour. I say this, I who for 20 years made it my life work to explain the Jewish people to the British and the British to the Jews. What are they going to do here? Right in the face of Hitler, they're going to close the gates of Palestine. They're going to seal the fate of the Jews of Europe. And they do. And they do. They do. You say, no, it couldn't be. Oh, yes, 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 it could be, and it was. And say, well, you know, they didn't know. No, they have intelligence. They knew something of what was going on, what was coming. But the point is they were looking at their own political situation. Would Hitler have let the Jews go? Well, it didn't matter. Masses would have escaped through the leakage valve of Istanbul and onwards if they had an ability to go to Palestine. Even in 1948, if you've ever seen the movie Exodus, have you seen that movie? The British were stopping refugees from the camps from coming into Palestine. They had to starve themselves on ships to get there. I was going to show you this movie called The Long Voyage Home, but yes, they had to starve themselves. It was called, you know, there was this huge thing, they wouldn't get off the ships. They finally sent this boat, this ship was run by an American volunteer crew, an old scow. They sent this ship back they were people from concentration camps and they were on a hunger strike. The British killed a few of the Americans that were on the ship when they took the ship. There's descriptions of the fight that went on at sea to take this ship of immigrants from concentration camps. But this hit the headlines, so people were upset about this, and this is what, to some extent, brought about the partition of Palestine and the UN debate in 1947. This Exodus episode of the ship Exodus, the brutality that so the British were still even killing all those people. Everything didn't melt their hearts at all, not at all. And the Peel Commission was the commission where they took back their promises totally and sealed the gates under Arab pressure. I say to the mandatory power, you shall not, you see, they were told in the mandate that there was, the Balfour Declaration was attached to the League of Nations mandate. They were only given Palestine as a mandate. You shall not outrage the Jewish nation, you shall not play loose and fast and loose with the Jewish people. Say to us frankly, the national home is closed, and we shall know where we stand. But this trifling with a nation bleeding for 1,000 wounds must not be done by the British, whose empire is built on moral principles. That's a joke. That mighty empire must not commit this sin against the people of the book. Tell us the truth, this at least we have deserved. Here Weizmann breaks down and weeps and then continues after a pause. I've now finished my criticisms. If I've expressed them more sharply than I want, it's because, anyway, because I'm like that. Let's see. You can read the rest of this speech about the Mufti on page 586 and the past of the Arabs and so on. I consider, page 587, that two criteria have to be applied in apprising such a principle. You know, are you going to found in the previous page a Jewish state in a reduced area? The report of the Royal Commission contains a revolutionary proposal, that is to maybe partition, but they didn't do this. The first, does it offer for a genuine growth of Jewish life? I mean quality and volume, so he's always worried about the culture and so on. This is one test. For our great teacher Ahad, who is with us no longer, he must have died in the meantime. It might have been the only one. But times have changed. Jewish history, which lasts for the most part is not ours to mold, face us with a tragic problem. Does the proposal contribute to the solution of the Jewish problem? A problem pregnant with dangers, blah, 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 blah. So on. I told the Royal Commission at the bottom of the page, the hopes of 6 million Jews are centered on emigration. Then I asked, but can you bring 6 million to Palestine? There are about 5.5 million there now. I replied, no, I'm acquainted with the laws of physics and chemistry. I know the force of material factors. In our generation, I divide the figure by 3. And you can see the depth of the tragedy. 2 million of the youth with their lives before them who have lost the most elementary rights, the right to work, and so on. Well, pretty soon they're going to lose not just the right to work. 2 million, perhaps less, that's all I'm asking for. He quotes the Bible, a remnant shall survive. We have to accept it. We have to accept this. We can only do what's possible, and so on and so forth. That's his committee. It's very nice and very decent, but very, very weak. And, you know, you say, what else could he do? Well, I'll show you what else he could do. We'll read Jabotinsky now. This is the other side of the coin to Weitzman. Born in Odessa again, he's a fairly cosmopolitan person. And he was really 1880 to 1940. Pinsker came from Odessa, remember? I hear they're selling land now in Odessa real cheap and good investment. I told you it's a beautiful place. I told you that last week, and maybe it's a good place to invest if you have any money. His Zionism was of the Herzlian kind, Hertzberg says here. So it gives you more about how Jabotinsky in the First World War lobbied the British to raise a Jewish brigade. And he was able to get such a brigade into action. He, in 1920, after the first Arab riots, that's